Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Power Vacuum. I'm Belmont, and boy, do I have an episode for you today. I didn't think I was going to be talking about the Acolyte more because I only did that one comparison about the lightsaber fight because my friend was like, hey, you got to check this out. Listen to what this lady said. I don't like watching people abuse a corpse, and that's what I feel is happening with Star Wars right now. They killed it with the sequel movies, and they've just been abusing his corpse ever since. But Leslye Headland said some really dumb things lately, and I just had to address them. I couldn't let it go unnoticed. Let's just take a look at this. So this is an article from FandomWire.com. You can see it up here. Maybe, I don't know. Sometimes my screen cuts it off. But it's FandomWire.com. They're just not the same Jedi. Leslye Headland says the Acolyte has a different breed of Jedi who don't follow the George Lucas concept. Oh, okay. Let's just jump into this. Leslye Headland shared what implored her to break down the concept of a Jedi in the Acolyte, making her version different from George Lucas's concept. The Acolyte has received extremely divisive reviews from critics and fans alike, making it one of the most talked about shows on the internet. It has been criticized for its alleged disrespect to the overall franchise lore created by George Lucas, especially regarding the depiction of Jedi. During an interview, creator Leslye Headland spoke about the show's treatment of the Jedi. She attempted to explain why the Jedi during the High Republic era were different from the Jedi in Lucas's prequel trilogy. Here's what Headland said to defend her depiction of the Jedi and its differences from Lucas's version. The Acolyte is set during the High Republic era of the Star Wars franchise, taking place roughly 100 years before the events of The Phantom Menace, directed by George Lucas. Okay. However, the show's depiction of the Jedi Order has faced criticism from fans online. Yes it has. Creator Leslye Headland responded to the said criticism during an interview with Collider. She said, I hope it's making people look at it from a different point of view. Headland added that she wanted to explore the Jedi in the context of the High Republic era, who were different from those appearing in the films overseen by Lucas, mainly the prequels and the original trilogy. However, Headland admitted that she understood fans, especially those who don't know the High Republic, might feel like she is criticizing the Jedi as they exist in Lucas's au revoir. Au revoir? Really, guys? Did she say that? Or are you adding this in? Au revoir refers to painting and whatever. Nonetheless, since the series takes place several years before, Headland felt such an exploration was warranted. During the same interview, Leslye Headland also discussed the differences between the Jedi of the High Republic, as seen in the Acolyte, and the Jedi of the prequel trilogy. I'm having trouble talking. The showrunner felt it was unfair to compare them because of the nearly 100-year gap in the timeline. Headland used the example of the dialogue, a Jedi doesn't pull their weapon unless prepared to kill, from the first episode, to explain how the Jedi of the High Republic were different since they did not have to fight the Clone Troopers, Sith, or the Separatist armies. She said, comparing that to anybody in the prequels is not the same. They're not the same Jedi. Alright, I gotta stop right fucking there. I don't even care about the rest of this article. It just talks about the show. They're not the same Jedi. They're not the same Jedi, she says. It takes place 100 years beforehand. Okay, that's 25 years before Count Dooku was born. That's 40 years before Mace Windu was born. Or not Mace Windu. That's 50 years before Windu. 40 years before Qui-Gon. But more importantly, Yoda, 870-something years old. Yaddle, 470-something years old. Plo Koon, 350 plus. We're not sure on his exact age because it's given in his planet's time, but he's over 350 years old in the BBY timeline. What's his name? Yanel is over 300 years old. Oppo? I actually don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. The snake guy with the big beard. He's like 200 years old. Half the Jedi Council are actively alive and active. Like in fact, Oppo, his like entire backstory is that he was very active during the High Republic and even founded a temple in the High Republic. So to say it's not the same Jedi shows that this lady knows jack shit about Star Wars. Right? And I've had a lot of people online try to defend her, being like, oh, she's a fan. She knows what she's talking about. No, she doesn't know shit. Her entire knowledge base is basically her reading Wikipedia articles, and that's it. Somebody either told her about something, or she read it off of Wikipedia, or Wikipedia. How's it pronounced? I've always said Wikipedia. Shit, I'm going to look that up real quick, because that's going to bother me. Is it Wikipedia? Wikipedia. Boy, I think I've been saying this wrong my entire time. Yeah, Wikipedia. I'm going to continue calling it Wikipedia, just because I'm a defiant bastard. But she doesn't know anything about Star Wars. You know, she said in another interview recently that she would like to explore the connection between Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious, and that it would get messy if she had to handle it in the Acolyte 2. And it's like, yeah, no shit, it would get messy, because Plagueis would be around during this time. And shit, how old is Sidious? I don't even remember. I think he's like 66 or 67. So, you know, he's only like 20, 30 years away from being born. It's like the High Republic, 100 years in the span of Star Wars, when you have creatures that regularly live 400, 500, 1,000 years, isn't like what's her name from The Force Awakens, like the little Moss, I don't remember her name, the lady with the goggles that's orange and tiny that gives Rey the lightsaber. She's like 1,000 years old. So like you have species in this entire series that 100 years is like their childhood. So to be like, oh, it's a whole different set of Jedi. No, you're thinking in human terms, okay? You're thinking in human eras and human age spans. These are not completely different Jedi. These Jedi are almost the same. They should be the same. Their fundamental principles and guiding principles should be the same. The way they behave, they should still be Jedi. The prequels are only 100 years. Now, you might think 100 years is a long time, but yeah, 100 years in human span, you know, what, 1924? That's a long fucking time ago. But right now, in Star Wars terms, like 100 years, okay, oh, my bad. Yoda was only 770 years old. You know, Yaddle was only 370 years old. What's his name? A Plo Koon, 200-something years old. Almost bordering on 300. You know, that's not that long ago for these characters. It's just nuts to think that people who are members of the Jedi Council, the Grand Council too, like the High Council, the top dogs of the top dogs, because there's different sects of Jedi Councils, you know, certain planets, I think every temple has its own council, but the Grand Council has people that have been around for almost a millennia, and you're going to tell me that they're completely different, that, oh, it's been 100 years, you can't think of them that way. That's absurd, lady. That is just absolutely absurd. And then I read this article. I was actually way angrier than I am now about it. I wanted to do a video a couple days ago, but I was like, I need to calm down because I'm just going to be screaming at the camera the whole time. And this article came out in between. Also from Leslye Headland, also from Fandom Wire. These are just the people that I first saw the article. I don't know if they're the originators of it, but you have to hurt one episode to aid the other. Disney dooms itself with unnecessary studio restrictions as the Star Wars IPs like Leslye Headland's The Acolyte are set up to fail from the start. So this is just cope for why this show is getting dragged through the mud, and they don't want to admit that their writers are inexperienced. They don't want to admit that their writers can't even follow their own plot lines within the own series that's only 8 episodes long. They can't even follow their own continuity. They break their own continuity, let alone the continuity of the entire fucking Star Wars canon. So they're just making excuses now. I'm sorry, but your show was given $180 million budget. That's over $20 million per episode. $20 million. You have the budget of a small Hollywood production movie per episode. Your show looks bad. The sets are bad. The writing is bad. There's no reason for it other than you're just bad at your job. And I believe it because you're not an experienced person. I mean, you were an assistant to one of the most evil producers in Hollywood for years. And that was another thing I saw a quote. Maybe it's in this article I saw it. Well, let me read the article, and if it's not here, I'll try to find the quote. It was ridiculous, though. But here we go. The Acolyte facing the wrath of the audience due to Disney's creative restrictions. No, it's facing the wrath of the audience because of your poor writing and your bad decision making, not Disney's creative restrictions. You were given $180 million in carte blanche. You didn't have restrictions, okay? The guys at Andor had restrictions. The people who made Rogue One had restrictions. Leslye Headland's The Acolyte, which is part of the Star Wars saga. Ooh. I just hate saying that. Sparked high hopes. Did it? Did it really? I don't think it did. While the show was initially well received by fans, no, it wasn't. It was well received by shills and people who were paid for their reviews. You see, everyone bases their opinions or their worth of a show on Rotten Tomatoes, and we've already caught Rotten Tomatoes having people with paid for reviews. And you know what these people's integrity was worth? $20. There were people who were paid $20 to give Disney properties good reviews. Anyway, from the show's plotline having more progressive tone in the series, The Acolyte faced a lot of challenges when it premiered and streaming platform Disney+. Now a new controversy is brewing around the corner, this time pulling Disney into it as well. The series once again demonstrates what occurs when a studio inserts excessive limits on IP, setting it up for failure. The most recent episode of The Acolyte has received a lot of attention, but not in a positive manner. While there was a lot of hype surrounding episode 6 of the show, the crowd was disappointed to say the least. The primary reason for this was the short duration of the episodes. Taking the matter to Reddit. Oh, Reddit? Really? We're quoting Reddit now? A fan posted an extract from the Forbes review of the 6th episode, and many users appeared to agree with what the media outlet stated. The viewers critiqued the showrunner, saying that the storyline within the episodes was not given enough time to develop before moving on to the new plot. Oh man, have you watched this show? The plot is like slower than molasses on Christmas. It's nuts. It's like they drag every scene out. They have unnecessary moments of like boring things, like somebody looking at a leaf and then putting the leaf into a basket. Things that aren't even necessary to move the plot, aren't even necessary to put on screen. They're on screen. It's like the people who wrote this show sat down, wrote the show, and went, Disney, we've done it. We've got the show written. We got 5 episodes. And Disney went, we need you to make that a minimum of 8. And they were like, 8? But we only have 5. And they're like, well, stretch it out. Make 8. Find 3 more episodes. So they just like dragged every scene out just a little bit. Just added a couple minutes of unnecessary nonsense to every scene just to fill up the 8 episode quota for the show. Oh, the sudden abrupt, what was this? Where was I? This sudden abruption made the episode seem jarring and very difficult to viewers to keep track of all the events taking place, causing a sense of inconsistency. Short episodes don't cause inconsistency. Bad writing, failure to follow your own continuity, not paying attention to how your characters act or behave from one scene to the next. These are things that destroy your sense of consistency in a show, not the length of the show. There are tons of shows out there that had serial plot lines that did it on 22-minute episodes. Shit, Metalocalypse was 11 minutes for like the first couple of seasons, and they had a serial running plot line that ran through the first 2 seasons, and they handled it in 11-minute stints. So to say that short episodes were your limiting factor is just disingenuous and a lie. And you're trying to prey on the fact that a lot of people don't understand how television shows are created or how they work when it comes to serialized stories. But according to Forbes, the major reason for the unfavorable feedback were the show's poor pace and momentum. Again, that's a writing problem and a direction problem. Further, the episodes should be longer and contain more depth and substance, as abrupt endings interrupt the whole viewing experience. Further, if the audio further, how many times are we going to use this? Is this Forbes saying that? Is Forbes writing like this? Because they're going downhill if that's the case. If the audience pays some attention, episode 5 of the show was perfectly balanced. Oh, was it now? However, it was sandwiched between 2 short episodes. Oh, all right, is this just whole thing about how the episodes are short? He should have added that instead of releasing 1 episode per week, Disney should have released all episodes together so that the storyline doesn't feel frustrating. Now, see, Disney probably is never going to release all the episodes of a show together unless they know it's a failure, absolutely, without certainty and without any shadow of a doubt. Because if it's they want their shows to be 8 episodes because it's 2 months worth of shows. Now, if they're smart, they can start it halfway through 1 month, so it goes halfway through 1 month, the second half of 1 month, all of 1 month, and the first half of another month. This secures viewers for 3 months if they release their shows on this kind of schedule with only 8 episodes and weekly releases. This is just called smart marketing for a company, and especially one that has a failure of a streaming service. Like, Disney Plus is not successful in any way. It has hurt their bottom line revenue because it damages their movies and their box office, because a lot of people are going to go, oh, I got 3 kids. I don't want to take these 3 kids to see this movie on Disney when I can wait, what is it now? Like 20 days? Like less than a month. And the movie goes from the theater to Disney Plus. If Disney Plus were smart, they would be like, yes, this show or movie or whatever will hit Disney Plus once it's done its 3 months in the theater. Because 3 months in a theater is enough time to generate a large amount of revenue and to get the hype train either going or ending, or to get people who really, really have kids bother them to go see something to just go see it in the theaters to shut their kids up. This is a thing that happens, by the way, if you have children. You'll be like, okay, we'll go. Yes, you want to see Up. I get it. We will take you to see Up. Oh, what's that? You fell asleep in the first 20 minutes because you're a child? Whatever. I'm not resentful or anything. Got a little personal there. I apologize. But, they're never going to release everything all at once again. Like I said, if they're smart, they're going to continue their 8-episode plan. They're going to start releasing it on the 3rd week of a month. So it's the 3rd and 4th week of the first month, all 4 weeks of the second month, and the 1st and 2nd week of the 3rd month, thus securing 3 months worth of viewers. If they're legitimate viewers and they're not sailing the 7 seas. But yeah, I don't know. Like, this is just, these are all excuses. The excuse train is going to be running full steam now because they just can't handle the fact that their show is poorly written and poorly directed and poorly acted. And yeah, it's just a poor excuse for a show. Like, Star Wars has been dead for a long time, and they are just weakened at Bernieing. How would you say? It's basically Weekend at Bernie's, and if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's, brief synopsis for those who aren't going to look it up. Weekend at Bernie's is a show about, or a movie about, 2 people that go to this guy's house, and he dies before they get there, so they use his dead body as a puppet. And this is what passed for humors. This is what passed for humor in the late 80s and early 90s. But yeah, That's basically Star Wars right now. It's the weekend of Bernie's, or weekend at Bernie's, of the cinema universe. Like, they've killed it, and they're just parading its corpse around and defiling it, and it's done. It's done. Just deal with the fact that the original series, the original trilogy was the best that it got. The prequel trilogies were bad in a lot of places and good in a few. And then I think the last great moment of Star Wars was the actual Clone Wars micro series with the Samurai Jack artist, not the Clone Wars TV show, because I have said it for years and I will stand by it. Dave Filoni is a hack. Doesn't know how to write shit. All he does is steal other people's ideas, steal ideas from the expanded universe or the Legends or whatever they call it now. Most of his ideas that he had for the Clone Wars were given to him directly by George Lucas. Dude can't write. Dude doesn't know crap about Star Wars. That's just it. And now this is what you get. And further prove my point, Dave Filoni oversees the entire Acolyte series. So he was approving it at the end. He had to approve every episode. So he sat down, looked at the crap they made, and said, yeah, that gets a Filoni stamp of approval. Sad. It's a sad, sad day for Star Wars, folks. Sad, sad day. But yeah, that's it. I had to get that off my chest. The Acolyte is a steaming pile of Bantha Poodoo. And that's all I have for today. Belmont out.